go. I do believe we're live, so I'll say indeed and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. It really is a pleasure having you here for another moment to consciously evolve and consider. Today's consideration being the one of sometimes it escapes me too, giving me just enough time to realize that I've compartmentalized into of today's stream topic being that compartmentalizing our stress. How there is a compartment in me that is only accessed when I feel shame. And there is that part of me that doesn't want to feel any, right? Saying it in another way, there is a part of me that is hurt by the idea that I am capable of remembering or forgetting something, right? Hurt potentially by the remembering of something I don't want to remember, hurt by the potential of forgetting something in a moment and embarrassing myself for that. Howdy, I'm normal, warm, and happy. I believe you. I totally believe you. Love is true. El español. Por favor. I cannot español. Simon, I'm sorry. I saw a message on the previous stream just now. Más español, por favor. Más. Hmm. Okay. I'm trusting that it's working. Yeah. Today's stream topic, just again, to give us like a little bit of a refresher, has kind of been a rolling around this centering thought of how we can compartmentalize our stress. How there are certain parts of our lives that we can stress about, but it's almost like the stress about that part of life exists in that part of life, right? Ideally, we should keep it localized, compartmentalized to the experience. Because if we allow our stress to spread, to grow like a potential cancer, we might find that stress affecting our lives in other places as well, right? Maybe there is a stress about finances, for example, and then that stress about finances could lead to two people that usually have a strong partnership are now fighting each other because that stress has reached the point where it's frantic in so many words, right? And that is not exactly a good place for someone to be, right? Nobody wants to be stressed in that way. And it's very difficult to compartmentalize that stress into a place where it doesn't affect the other things, right? And again, there can be this certain level of responsibility we feel we ought to take as it relates to our stress. Because if we were better at compartmentalizing and localizing the stressors in our life, then maybe we would be better. Maybe we wouldn't be as reactive. Maybe things would have changed, etc., etc. And then, as we were discussing that as a concept, as a centering thought, there arose this consideration that maybe, hot take, this is the place in which stress exists, right? Again, within this lens, this perspective of compartmentalizing stress, this is the compartment within which stress exists. This one, this life one, right? Without life, there is no stress, right? There's nothing to stress about. And I believe that even if we do figure out, and I hope we do figure out how to take care of every single person on planet Earth, there will still be things to stress about. Maybe even more. Maybe even more to stress about. Because now suddenly we're taking care of everybody. And in doing so, we have created systems that can be potentially fragile and affected by uncontrollable change. Tip to tip, from one tip to another, uh, if you lick your finger and put it in the air, whichever side is colder might give you a good indication of which direction the wind's coming from. And into another tip, the road, so you don't get hit by a car. Oh, no, we don't deserve any. Is more a consideration that this is a place within which stress gets to exist, right? No more and no less stress. That's the thing that I'm trying to like make us feel as a collective, Kristen, is that there's no extra stress. There's no less stress ever, right? There is only us as people tuning into that part of everything, right? Like it is a compartment in us as well as a compartment in this universe. And again, it's a part of the everything. Sure, there can be more things to stress about, but it is because of this compartment of everything, right? Like the compartment within everything is the parts in which there is, now new stressors. For instance, you as an individual might end up stressing less because there was a compartmentalization of those stressors. And yes, there might be more stressors, but the compartments that make up the solution to that stressful problem might become smaller and smaller and eventually controlled by a single person in a box full of robots, right? And in that way, yes, there will be more potential individual stressors, but the compartmentalization thereof will again create orders of extraction between you and the actual problems. So, what am I saying? World get better. Better world, make better quality of life. Better quality of life, make more circumstances is not the right word. Contributing factors, caveats. Almost like instances to say it in so many words. More instances create more potential for failure, right? Iteratively, how many chances there are for things to fail. And then again, because of the compartmentalization, this like step by step by step thing, there will again be whole subdivision steps for all of those things to get solved if those problems do arise, right? And in that way, unless you find yourself directly in one of those compartments that it's responsibility to solve that particular problem, then the average person might maybe not being in that position won't ever have to deal with that stress. That stress is still existing, right? In the like it still is a part of the grander whole of things that is. There's no less stress, no more stress. There is just the compartmentalization, right? How is that stress boxed? Oh, I gotcha. I don't compartmentalize very much. Yeah, I do it a lot. I do it a lot. I'm trying to figure out why. Coping, coping with reality a little bit, I think, has something to do with it. I think today's stream topic has been about why compartmentalize. I think stress. I think stress has forced me to compartmentalize a lot because again, right? Like I'm not denying the impact stress has had on my life, but I'm also not giving credence to the stress I've had in my life, right? Sure, the stress I've had in my life have motivated me to change and do things differently, like moving from a place where I'm actively getting, robbed, or moving from a place where I'm not being properly valued, right? There is certain stressors that can be healthy, but the extremes of the stress that I've held eternally, internally, never ended up externally, right? The compartment, right? Like maybe the stress I held in the compartment of worry was way overblown to the reality and the potential stressor that arose, even in that circumstance. Only once in my life did the worst case scenario happen to me. Did I like prepare for things the day before, stressing that things could go awry? And then the one thing that I couldn't afford going awry went awry, my computer breaking at the very first conclave event. Right? And even then, I showed myself that literally the worst case scenario can come from me, and I'll just continue forward until I have solved the problem in the way that I can. Showing up despite the extremes of failure. Compartmentalizing our stressors and showing up for the present. Hey, a goodbye message has been sent. It's nice. Unfortunately, I've got to run. But thank you so much for the topic today. Thank you, Kristen, for being a good student and for hearing me. Thank you for the goodbye message. I appreciate ya. I'll see you again soon, friend. I think I can actually say, have the mostest resplendent day, everyone. I wholeheartedly love you all so staggeringly, ineffably, rhapsodically, exuberantly, luminously, profoundly, ardently, effervescently, wondrously, and elated. Melt. And all of you, oh so steadfast, magnanimous, nurturing, resolute, empathetic, uplifting, unflappable, perceptive, harmonious, and reassuring friends who compartmentalize stress to protect the peace. Simplifying. Maybe that's the one thing that we're supposed to take away, right? I kept asking myself, why do I compartmentalize this whole time? Hey, Muskan, it's nice having you here. We're talking about compartmentalization. I think, and I was like thinking about the whole compartmentalization fractal and the fact that Kristen doesn't do that much of it, and thinking about how much I do of it, and thinking about how I would apply it in that would look like and why I value that as an approach. And then it became clear to me it makes it simple, right? If we keep compartmentalizing our stressors down to smaller and smaller boxes, maybe at some point it's small enough for us to do something about it, right? That, for instance, maybe there is the stress of how are we going to feed everybody? And then we can compartmentalize that stress, right? Like, in which compartment is the problem of feed everybody situated? And then it becomes clear, farms and farmers and, distribution networks, right? So now suddenly we take the problem of how do we feed everybody, a vast problem, and we have already, just in realizing in which compartments of reality this problem exists, right, is. And as soon as we do that, with other, like, and it's not always as straightforward, right, to compartmentalize our stressors and our problems, but we can. And every time we do, we learn things about ourselves. And the more we learn, the more we become. And the more we are, the more we'll be valued, loved, appreciated, capable of adding value, love, appreciation. All of us are that. which it is we're looking for, right? You literally are the thing you're looking for, have been your whole life. And it's when we find it in others that we find ourselves gravitating towards them as well, right? Like there's a certain authenticity in the mirror of like getting to see ourselves in a person that we can see ourselves. Yeah, totally. I appreciate you for seeing, for paying such close attention, and for getting into the space for me to read you a poem. It's called Regret in Color. Within a kaleidoscope of memory, regrets shift in vivid glow. Half-chosen roads in every tint reminders of what we let go. In hidden corners of the mind, each choice becomes a hue, reflections of unspoken hopes that linger in silent view. But trace the patterns softly and find the tapestry is ours, a swirl of lessons learned in time, a path lit by old scars. Our color remains forever. No shade can hold us in. We carry every tone forward, and in growing, begin again. I appreciate you, friends, always, for beginning again and again with me every single day. Right? Every day is a new opportunity to begin the stream, to begin making a piece of art, to begin the process of begetting a poem into this world, to begin reading you one, and to begin saying goodbye. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me, for finding yourself here for a moment for us to consider one last time today's conscious thought: compartmentalize. But only compartmentalize to try and make things simple, right? Don't compartmentalize to try and escape things. Realize that you are in the compartment in which stress exists. And if that is the case, realize that you can do something about it. You can compartmentalize these problems smaller until you get to do something about it. This speaks volumes. Oh, Kristen, love is true. You speak volumes too. I appreciate you, and I thank you for joining me again. I love you, friends. I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow? Goodbye for now. Cheers.